Yeah, I think one thing, from day one, taking over for Coach Wells that I certainly wanted to implement, and I think we've done a good job to this point, is just kind of changing the culture a little bit and setting our own identity as a program and really got back to a hard-nosed mentality, very aggressive style, both offensively, defensively, and the addition of Kyle Bunn with our pitching staff, that's really started to take shape through the fall and now leading into the spring season. So right now we're real pleased with the players and the effort that we've gotten up to this point. Certainly feel like our identity is starting to take shape leading into the season, and we've had a lot of work with our strength coach Rocky Colburn, especially obviously right now at this point, the first month leading into the season with our weights and conditioning, getting ourselves back in physical condition, and we've done a lot, mentally with our guys. I think that was one of the things we wanted to address, particularly with the pitching staff, and trying to get that confidence and get a little bit of arrogance about them that when we take the field, that we certainly take it with a purpose, and there's a lot of pride taking that ball and giving it to the next guy that's going to follow you up. And certainly at this point, we're pleased in the bullpen and with the work we're doing right now in the weight room and our individual work. And we feel like that will lead into the season and will progress as the year goes on. So, our motto is play hard and get dirty. And that's really what we're expecting each day we go out there from our coaching staff, from our players. And it's just going to be a trust in the plan, trust in the coaching staff, and a trust in your teammates. And right now I think we're on that page, and we're moving forward to do that. And certainly we have enough talent to be very competitive and a team that I think can be very good, down the road. But that's the issue right now that we're really trying to address, is just been a tough-minded team that's going to continue to improve game by game and day by day out at practice. Well, I think, from a mentality standpoint, I think probably the way we've done some things. We still work and do a lot of the same things that we did in the past, but I think from an effort standpoint and from a coaching style, we're just on them, constantly. I think one thing that will help us this year, even though we had a lot of seniors last year on the team, I feel like the leadership right now with certainly Jake Smith, Clay Jones, Adam Morgan, although a sophomore, has really provided that on the pitching staff, and then our two guys up the middle, Wilson and Rutledge. There's a lot of experience on that field, and guys that have played now for 3 and 4 years, and they've really bought into what we want to do. And I think the style of play offensively plays into that. My philosophy is going to be more of a short game, but also just a more aggressive brand of offensive baseball. And I think that kind of lays the groundwork of what we want to do, because to be successful in that style, you got to go at it. You got to look for certain ways to take extra bases and to create offense when you're out there. So I think as much as anything, it's just been our approach to what we want to do. We've certainly changed up some things on the field and in the weight room and off the field to create that. But I think it's been a lot of energy from our coaching staff that has probably laid the groundwork for that more than anything. Right now from a pitching rotation, going into the spring, Adam Morgan would certainly, as of right now, be our number one. We really like Jason Townsend, kid from Chipola Junior College, to be in that mix. Real encouraged with Jimmy Nelson, right now. He's been outstanding. We've got Jonathan Smart, who's a red shirt from last year, who had an arm injury, who was a junior college All-American at Shelton State. I can see him in the mix, and also a kid named Taylor Wolf, who's a freshman from from Columbus, Georgia. And I think along with that, those are starting type guys, and the bullpen I think has an opportunity to be much improved with Tyler White was a kid who improved for us last year and is getting better and better with David Head, and we have another freshman out of Columbus, Matt Taylor, who's can pitch in the back end of the game along with Jake Smith. So we're encouraged with our pitching. I mean, we realize and they realize the last 2 years that's kind of been an Achilles heel for us. The offense has been outstanding, and they've got to carry the load this year, and or certainly add into carrying the load, and they understand that. They understand that in every poll and every prediction, I mean that's the question mark by our name right now. They're going to have a good offensive team, but how far is the pitching going to take them? And I think that's part of our motivation to them is, we're going to be as good as you guys taking the ball every night. You go out there and do it. Well, we want to create roles. And right now when we look at our pitching staff, we've got 16 pitchers on that pitching staff in total. We feel like right now at least 12 of those guys could throw some type of inning for us. We feel like 10 of them can throw significant innings for us. And that's really our job now from, coming from the fall, leading up into the first month of preseason work and then getting into the first month of the season. That's where we're trying to create and develop those roles, who's going to fit into those spots. And but we kind of have in our mind right now who we're targeting as starters, who we're targeting as relievers, middle guys, closers, but to answer that question, we want to use the staff. We want to build a staff. It's important for us to have the young guys. We really like 5 freshmen that are going to pitch for us, and we're going to pitch them. And, what roles are created, a lot will be developed as far as how those guys respond and how they pitch when they get those opportunities. But that is something that's real important to us, is to build a pitching staff and not rely on 1 to 2 relievers and 3 starters. In the long run, you can't win in the end that way. We've got to develop the entire pitching staff. Yeah, well, first of all, Dugas will move to center field, and right now, if there's probably question marks, that would be the 2 question marks for me is left and right, and not because of the players there, but due to the injuries there. Right now we have 2 redshirt freshmen, Brant Hendricks and Kent Meyer, who were redshirted last year. This fall, one had a broken foot, one had a broken leg, so really didn't get any time. And this that's correct. That's correct. So they really have not had more than probably 8 or 9 innings in an inter-squad game at Alabama. And so they're both about 85% right now. They'll actually do limited work this weekend in our inter-squads, but should be full go in 2 more weeks. So they're certainly candidates. Andrew Miller, a kid from St. Paul's in Mobile, is a kid we're excited about. I think that, there's some other kids. Cal Tinsley's the guy that I can see bouncing around, playing a lot of positions, and could certainly be a possibility out there. David Kindred's another kid that was at Shelton State and Ole Miss that is a good left-handed bat. And so there's a lot of candidates right now. Those jobs have yet to be won out there. And the one thing, going back like with Ken, obviously what a fabulous year he had and 29 home runs. And that's where our style, of offense, I feel like our first 5 hitters, which obviously are the same 5 hitters minus Mathis from last year, can be as good as anyone in the country. They're terrific offensively. And I think more so with the style that we're going to play, because they're athletic guys that can run, they can handle the bat well, but also drive the ball out of the park and hit doubles. So we just feel like we've got more bullets now in the chamber than what we had with the style that we want to play. And really for that to work, those players have to buy into it, and we have to sell it in a good way. And right now, I mean, you know, everyone's on board, and they're starting to understand what we want to do offensively. And it's a hell of a lot of fun to watch, you know, when it's all going in, and especially when you get athletic players that can do that. And we feel like we have that mix to have, you know, as good of an offense. It may not be an offense that's going to hit 100 home runs. In fact, I don't think it will be. But I think we're still capable of going 75, 80 home runs, but still in more bags. And more than the stolen bases just is creating more offense and more ability to score runs. Instead of waiting on the 3-run inning, you know, we knock off a run an inning, and then we can, you know, stab you at the end to put you away with the 4-run inning. Well, behind the plate, real excited about Chris Smelly right now. He's, you know, it has taken Chris, you know, obviously a spring, a summer of going out, and even, you know, halfway through the fall, there was question marks of where he's going to be at, and particularly defensively. Offensively, we felt like he would get back to where he needed to be, but I would say in the last month, he's the one player who has made the biggest jump for us at both of those spots, both swinging the bat and behind the plate. So he's going to factor in. Cody Trotter, who caught a lot for us last year prior to his injury, is a really good catch and throw kid that you know had played well when he played last year. Brock Bennett is a system guy who's been in the program a long time, but he's kind of our closer behind the plate. I mean, he can really catch. He's our best thrower, real intelligent kid back there. So he gives us some options. And then Brett Booth's a young player who can play a lot of spots. He catches, plays third, and we feel like he's got a bright future back there also. Well, we're actually going to change that up a little bit. I'll be in the dugout. Dax is going to be in there with me. He feels like, from a hitting standpoint, he can do a little better work in there. Bobby Barbier is going to coach third. Bobby played for me. He knows my running game, my offensive system about as well as I do. He was an academic All-American and a terrific young coach. And so he's going to coach third. I will control the offense out of the dugout and call, you know, all the offensive plays from there. Actually, Alex Kubal will coach first, who played for us last year. So I like the fact that we have two young guys out there that were both running game type guys, because what it does, Bobby's going to look for something different than, say, Dax would out there. Because Bobby's actually our running game coordinator. I mean, he's the guy that coaches our guys every day on the bases, and so he's going to look for the things that we need to do out there. And so I think he's going to be a terrific third base coach and going to do a really good job for us. And he's been doing that through the fall and obviously leading into the spring, going into the season. The schedule's been set. I mean, we're about 2 years out when we set the schedule. So there's really the schedule that's in place now has been in place for long before, you know, me being hired. So and basically you're looking at, you know, we schedule about 2 years in advance, and you know, there's a few changes that can be made here and there, but those are pretty well set. There was, and but you know, a lot of that too, it has to fall right. You know, Minnesota, uh, is really good this year. I mean, they're I believe, a top 25 team, certainly top 30, and that's where some of the Big Ten teams you don't know year to year, what kind of club they're going to have, but and then the Georgia game, obviously in Birmingham, is one that we've always had good series with Georgia. We like playing Georgia; they like playing us. We feel like both teams get better. And that was something actually last year where we had an open date, and they did as well. So we said, with us, because they roll off the schedule this year for the next 2 years. So we got with David Perno and said, let's play a single game. We'll play one in Hoover, and then next year we're going to go to Gwinnett and play them at the AA Park. And then obviously you've got the big Auburn game in Montgomery, which is a non-conference game. So, the non-conference schedule, matches up pretty well, and certainly have some top 50 teams in there, and so I like our schedule this year. I think it's a good schedule and very competitive, and I think it's also going to give us an opportunity to to progress as a team and do the things we need to do. Well, I mean, it seems like it's the same teams every year, and certainly LSU, coming off the national championship, and Renato, their Friday night guy, is potentially the number one pick in the draft. They certainly have enough back to. They'll probably start the season out in the 1 or 2, and right there by Texas. I think that. Ole Miss has an opportunity. They've got another first rounder in Pomeranz, on Friday night, and I think that Florida is going to also be a team that's going to be right there. And really, throughout the conference, like it is in every sport and every year, all the teams have good players, have good coaches, and it's going to be a very competitive league, the top league in the country, and that's where I think with us, that's where I like this team. I like our position players because many of these guys have been through the league, and it is a league you have to understand, the grind of it. And we have a lot of guys that do understand what it's about and how you have to prepare weekend to weekend. And so, I think we're certainly a team that can be right there in the mix with everybody else.